Hey, we are back again. This is Third Floor Theatrics from the beautiful Studio 26. I'm Darren.
I'm Noah, and today we're going to be talking about just the culinary genre in general. Food, cooking, restaurants, local places, stuff like that. And I think that's going to be just kind of the theme of this overall episode.
One long session of food, restaurants, the curse of the American consumer, which is gluttony.
Yeah.
And America is the fattest country in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because there's a donut shop on every corner.
Yeah. You know what's weird, too, is that back in the old days, like medieval times and stuff, if you were obese...
By the way, hold on. Did we say this is episode 10? I don't know if we did, but it is. Here we go.
Anyways, back in the day, if you were obese, you were considered like wealthy and powerful, like to be respected, because if you were skinny, it means you didn't get enough food, like you were poor and couldn't afford all the stuff you wanted. So the things have really changed.
The kings of England were all, cherubs. They were all, chubby guys, and they sat on they sat on the throne, and they said, "Be gone, peasants." One of those kind of things. But yes, I do voice over work. No, not really, but I probably could. So things are a lot different. You know, nowadays, it's not that way, obviously, and but I guess that's that's part of, maybe we'll get into that at some point today. Sort of the bad side of food, if that makes sense, or the abuse of food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people that know us have labeled us what they like to call bougie when it comes to food and stuff.
Speak for yourself. I don't believe that's accurate.
No, it's people. It might not be accurate, but it's what people say. Like when we would request moonlight for lunch, they'd be like, "Oh, you two are so bougie," and all that stuff. But
I think it's it's small town mentality that everybody's so used to, like, let's go to McDonald's, let's go to Burger King, and then so if there's something that's a little like upscale, people have a my mom sort of like, if you say we're going to get something from some restaurant, her response is always, "Oh, it's so expensive. That's so expensive, and it wasn't that good." Everybody's just, so I don't know, maybe that's just small town mentality. But good food may cost you a little bit more.
Well, yeah.
Better food may cost you a little bit more than McDonald's.
Well, yeah, and you got to think, too, like, the way they run McDonald's and a lot of other fast food chains, like, these people are getting paid like, the bare minimum. And,
well, not anymore.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. McDonald's is starting out way higher than it was whenever I...
they say that statistically a McDonald's worker makes the same amount that a 1970s heart surgeon would make. No, I made that up. It sounds good. Somebody out there is going to go, "What?" And that's like, no,
I believed it for a second. I was like,
see, that's what I'm saying. Somebody would have believed it.
Well, I don't know. But when you pay for more, like, you're getting better trained people in the kitchen that actually know how to cook and everything like that. You're getting better quality ingredients, stuff that isn't produced in a factory and everything.
Although they've proven that McRibs really is pork. It's really pork.
Well, it might not be. It might be pork, but
it's real meat. It was on Mythbusters. I think they showed how they made them. It's real meat.
Mm-hmm.
You've never had a McRib, have you?
I have. And it's okay as long as I don't put too much sauce on it.
So you got to have the sauce.
Yeah, but not too much. No, and there's nothing wrong with fast food and stuff. Like, I like fast food. I try not to eat it too much. But yeah, like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's definitely not good for you. Like, even like the salads at McDonald's are still pretty unhealthy.
Some fake lettuce? Is that what you're saying? It's fake lettuce? It's real lettuce. Come on.
They fry their lettuce.
Oh, it's a fried salad. It's one of those.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, and this kind of touches on the abuse, the abuse of fast food, addiction. Because I think there's a lot of people probably who don't do drugs or drink, but they eat fast food, and it's sort of like a drug.
Yeah.
You know, they have to always. But I think that, and I didn't live back then, but in the early days of like McDonald's, I think portions were a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So like, you know, back then, cheeseburger was as big as it got, just a regular cheeseburger and small fries, and then it became Big Mac, and then it became you got a gallon-sized barrel of fries
Yeah.
that you could barely fit in your trunk, super size, and now everybody's like, I don't know why my cholesterol's through the ceiling. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, even now, there's videos out there that compare sizes of like McDonald's in America to McDonald's over in the UK. And the sizes are way different, and the ingredients are way different too.
They're probably better over there.
No, like they have a fourth of the ingredients in their stuff.
Right,
than
they're better.
Do.
It's better.
Yeah, it's higher quality, not so much preservatives and all that other crap that goes in there. Like, I think it's like the French fries or something. Like their French fries has like 3 ingredients, and ours has like 15 or something. Like, and it's like that with a lot of different things. Like they put so much extra stuff in the American food, and it's like, why do you do that? Why can't you just make it better?
Right.
Like, because obviously McDonald's is successful in the UK
conglomerate.
too. Yeah.
It's successful worldwide. But you know, the thing is, we used to go to a Japanese grocery store, and I used to buy a lot of cool like snacks and stuff, and they would have bags of potato chips, and a large bag, a potato chip, large size bag was like snack size here.
Yeah.
Like that's a large. You guys like you'd see them and you go, that's a small. No, that's the large over there. Here, that's like you take that in your lunchbox.
Yeah.
It was like a snack size. So sizes are definitely different. Because Americans are gluttons.
Yeah. And I don't know, like it'd be nice if they would change a lot of that stuff, but there would be such an uproar. Like people would be going crazy. Like,
well, didn't they get rid of supersize at McDonald's though? Didn't they do it? They got large, but they got rid of supersize.
Yeah.
So you can't get a
after that thing came out. I'm pretty sure
the documentary.
And that's a pretty good documentary too.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. That guy's done several on different.
It's on YouTube for free, I think, if you ever want to watch it.
I think his first name's Morgan, something.
I'm not sure.
Or his last name. Either way, it's a good name. So I mean, he's a good.
God.
But no, so like, I think when I was a kid, you know, my mom cooked a lot, so us going to like McDonald's was a real treat because you didn't go all the time. And I think nowadays it's for so many people, it's become the norm. There was a teacher when I was in high school that used to like every day go to McDonald's every day. Well, Monday through Friday anyway, and he would have a cheeseburger and fries every day. And it's like, to me, that's like, that's just not good. I mean, it's not good health wise, but it just sounds like you get sick of it. Like, oh, I'm eating a cheeseburger again.
Yeah.
You know, 5 days a week. So that's what, 20 days a month. He's eating cheeseburger and fries.
Yeah. On average, how many times a week do you think that you eat out and you don't, not necessarily fast food, but you just don't cook and get it from somewhere else? It's at least 2 because we eat out every
the 2
Thursday
days that
and
we're
Friday.
at the 2 days that I'm at my day job.
We always order out.
Yeah, and that's your fault because
it's not my fault.
Before you came, now listen, we did this. Now I'm going to get into this. Now you opened a can of worms. So we did this a lot when some other people used to work there who no longer work there. When they left, in the time between they left and the time between you came in, I brought my lunch every day, salad every day.
Well, you brought your lunch last week and you complained the whole time. You said,
"Well,
this
I
sucks,
didn't
blah, blah, blah.
really prep. That was my fault." But you came in and you're like, "Oh, we're ordering." So,
well, you know how it all started, right? It was when the kitchen was like completely shut down.
Oh, no.
Like it was when a lot of the kitchen workers had COVID and the kitchen just was like not open,
not functioning.
And it was when I was doing 5/12s a week, and I was like,
"Well, that was your fault.
I need to eat. Like I can't just skip
right.
lunch 5 days a week."
Well,
so we just
I don't know.
On
average, at least a couple times a week. I
do. I'm probably there with you, like the 2 times a week, and then sometimes I'll go and get something else, like I'll order sushi. But it's rare that I actually get fast food. I think the last time I had fast food was when we recorded an episode of the podcast and we got Culver's.
That means tonight we're in the studio. We'll probably have fast food tonight.
Well, you never know. Could order from Moonlight. Their dinner options are pretty good.
Okay. Well, they're not going to deliver it, so.
Well,
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, when I was a kid, the fast food thing, like I said, I think it was more of like a treat, like, oh, we're going to McDonald's. And it was like, you were excited about going to McDonald's because you didn't have it that often. And then, so, my worst habit with fast food, as far as eating fast food, I look back on now and I go, my God, that was horrible, was probably back in like 2002 or 3 or 4. And I was in a really bad place. We're going to leave it that in life, a really bad place in life. And somehow we got in the habit of eating like giant cheeseburgers from Hardee's right before bed. And I look back now and I go, God, that's like, I might as well have like smoked some crack before I went to bed.
I don't know if that's accurate.
Well, I'm okay. Maybe I should have just like ate a tub of like Crisco. You know what I mean? It was like horrible. You eat that, like you're eating this massive 1,200 calorie cheeseburger. If you eat it in the day early and you don't eat much else, you might be able to work that off.
Yeah.
But if you eat that and turn around and go to bed, it's suicide.
Yeah. Well, the thing
It's
too is
stupidity.
if you eat like a large amount, it always makes you tired anyway.
Right. Well, this was like at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
This was stupid. And so, of course, I haven't done that kind of crap for years. You get older and you go, okay, I got to stop,
Yeah.
But that was like stupidity, It's like, and I'm sure there's people that do that still, though. All the people, that's like a common thing. Just, let's run to Hardee's and get one of them monster burgers. And then they eat it and they go to bed. And then, next thing you know, they're 500 pounds.
Yeah.
And they can't walk down the driveway. And they don't know why.
Yeah. It's definitely something that you have to pay attention to because it is so accessible, especially now. Not so much in our town, but like in bigger cities, like you have such a wide variety.
Right.
And you have all these delivery services. Like you don't even have to leave your house. You can just get whatever brought to you.
Right. Evansville is probably, it has so many restaurants that you could probably pick one a day and not run out for 2 years. It's something different every day. There's so much down there that's just,
Yeah, and I would love that. Like, I love trying new foods and going to different restaurants and stuff. But the stuff in Vincennes, like, we've got a decent variety, but it's stuff that gets old
that's
pretty
decent
quick.
on the
decent
on a scale that's not very
well, decent as compared to what else is around here.
Right.
Like Bruceville, nothing.
Well, it's not
Bicknell
much of a
has
town.
McDonald's, and now it has Mexican, and it
well,
has
and the Mexican's not bad.
no.
And they got Nicole's.
Yeah.
Nicole's is not bad for like pizza and stuff,
But there's a lot of things around here, unless you go 30 minutes out of your way to Washington, or you drive to Linton,
Or you go an hour.
Go to Lawrenceville, or you can drive an hour either way to Terre Haute or Evansville and get a lot of different options. But a lot of people don't.
The bigger
do that.
cities, just by nature have so much more options and so much more, different ethnic foods and stuff. Like you can go to Evansville and you can find an Indian restaurant, and you can find a Vietnamese restaurant, and you can find a Thai restaurant, and of course you got Italian, Mexican, Japanese, Chinese. Here, you got Mexican, and you've got Americanized pizza.
Yeah,
And a lot of people, I'm going Italian. Well, it's not really, but it's, the bigger the town, the more you have.
Yeah,
I mean that's
sure.
for sure. I mean that's
that's how it is with a lot of different things, not just food.
right.
But I would say the most outgoing restaurant that we have really isn't even a restaurant. It's a food truck, and it's the Thai food truck, Dynamite. And because you have your Chinese stuff around here, but it's all Americanized Chinese. Then you have Yamato. That's Japanese.
Fake Japanese.
I really like it there, though.
It's still
sushi,
fake Japanese.
Their sushi is really good.
If we get sued by Yamato Corporation, it's my fault because it is fake Japanese.
Well, it's still
it's
good,
Americanized. Let's be honest.
but it's good for the town of Vincennes. Like
that's
it's
not saying much.
Well, it's good for what is local.
That's
I'll
like
say
saying
that.
I don't even know how to.
And then you have your like the Chinese buffets,
Right.
that are just the standard.
By the one on 6th
American.
Street says closed again, so I don't know what
Really?
happened. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with them.
Jimmy Dong is closed up again.
They've opened, closed.
Jerry
closed.
Dong, not Jimmy. Jerry Dong is closed up again.
Jerry Dong.
The sign said, I thought I could swear, of course I'm driving by, and I could swear the sign said spring.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they're reopening it again in spring. I don't know.
Yeah, that place has had an interesting past. It's open, close, open, close.
There's
then
a
it had
portal
a fire.
to hell underneath the building, and they have to shut it down temporarily to keep the demons from rising to the surface.
That makes more sense. That would explain a lot.
It's a funner theory
mm-hmm.
than just that they can't run a restaurant.
And then you have a lot of restaurants around here that are like not nice, like high end or anything, but like they have decent food. And then the health inspector does their rounds,
Shuts down.
Then it releases all the information and people share it on Facebook, and then you see these places and you're like, oh dear God.
Well,
the one
we were there. Right. Well, the one we were talking about with the previous owners, they were like cutting raw chicken, and then turning around and cutting watermelon with the same knife,
mm-hmm.
and putting the watermelon out on the
on the cold bar.
The cold bar. So it's like, okay, you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. And then, like Yamato, for instance, they had a huge list. Like they actually got shut down.
There you go. That's your place.
Well, I still go there.
Hopefully they've rectified those problems and that's done.
Yeah, I hope so. Montana Mike's here in town. They've always had a lot of health issue problems. Health inspector problems.
Butchering wild hogs in the back, and I don't know. I don't know what they do, but
their food's okay. Like it's
still
good.
open.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Last time I checked.
Okay.
We ordered from there at work not too long ago.
We did, didn't we? I got violently ill after I ate there.
No, you didn't.
No, but yeah, they have had.
You did get sick at the Asian market, though.
Yeah, I hope a lot of people from town aren't listening to this podcast because they're going to be ostracized and ran out of town. I don't live here, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't live here.
If I get sick from someplace...
You're going to raise hell.
No.
You should. You should go in there guns blazing.
As long as I don't get sick there consistently.
Right.
Like, if I get sick from it, I'll take a break from it.
And by the way, guns blazing is just a figure of speech. Don't one freak out, please.
But the fast break here in town, like they have decent like chicken tender, like quick food.
You got violently ill eating there.
Yeah, and I haven't eaten there since.
See?
But I'm not
scared.
I'm never not gonna go back.
Right. The thing is, it's like people run restaurants, and you just hope that they keep it clean and just. Because there's so much raw food in these places, and there's so many people in and out. And there's so many. It's a wonder that these places don't stay, or don't get docked more.
Mm-hmm.
Because you think about the food and the traffic, the foot traffic, people coming in and out. People, do they wash their hands? Are they coming in sick? Are they, it's like you just hope. Yeah, I think if everybody kind of knew how things were in restaurants, they probably wouldn't go to restaurants.
Yeah.
They'd be like, I ain't eating there. I'm eating home.
Do you ever worked in a restaurant?
I did back in 1989. In the summer of 89, I was a dishwasher at a place called KJ Smorgasbord. It's actually a rental place on 6th Street now, right next to McDonald's. That rental place.
Yeah.
That used to be a smorgasbord slash steak place.
Huh.
And, yeah, I'd come out of there covered in slop
because
I was a dishwasher, and it was a buffet.
Yeah.
And that was my only restaurant experience, and I pretty much hated it.
Mm-hmm. I've worked in fast food. I worked at Fazoli's for about 3 years, and
that was fun.
We kept things clean. But
you say you do. You did.
We really did. Like if we didn't, I would say something.
Right.
But I just
were you the guy that came around and gave breadsticks out to people for free?
I did everything. I ran the kitchen. I ran the day room. Made breadsticks. Did the drive-through.
Were those homemade, or they come out of a box?
Which ones?
The breadsticks.
Well, what we do is we get the. It's
You're
like
giving
partially
out secrets here.
It's partially cooked dough, like already shaped like a breadstick. Like if you ate it straight out of the bag, it would not taste right.
Well, yeah, it's raw.
Well, it's not raw.
Partially raw.
That's the best way I can explain it. And then you lay them down on the baking sheet, and then you get this giant tub of butter slop, and you get your paintbrush and you paint the butter over.
And then you throw it in.
Yeah, and then you put them on a cart, put them in the walk in, and then when you need breadsticks, you throw them in the oven.
Well, we're probably most likely now going to get sued by Fazoli's. And we have no money, so you're not going to get anything if you try to sue us. Yeah, just saying. So I don't know. There's people who work in restaurants like their whole career.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't do that. Like,
well, you're a food guy, though.
If I did that, it would have to be in a higher scale restaurant, like where it's not fast food. Because there's a big difference between that environment and then the McDonald's environment.
Is it true that you have the word foodie tattooed on your rump?
No, that's not true. That's
because that's an urban legend.
That's propaganda.
It's an urban legend going around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if you own a restaurant, I think it's if you have a restaurant, if you're really into like a chef and you really, really, really are into food and cooking and doing like an amazing job of food, you have a restaurant. It's like there's a lot of pride in that. Yeah. But I think you get kids off, teenage kids working at some restaurant, they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They hate their job. They're just making some money for a car or whatever, and they don't care. So there's a big difference on
and like
careers.
At the restaurants that are higher end, like you hire chefs, people that went to school for cooking.
Right.
And you don't really hire kids that are in high school.
Yeah.
Unless they are doing something like just the dishes.
McDonald's doesn't have a sous chef and a master chef.
No, No, they don't have a
They do have like a hamburger university, though. Have you heard about this?
No.
That's a real thing. I'm not making that up. There's a Hamburger Hamburger University, and it's like, I don't know if it's for management training, but that's what it's called. I'm not making that up. I know you think like right now this is one of my stories. It's not. It's a real thing.
Like a training camp?
I guess. Hamburger University.
I mean, that's not too far-fetched. Like there were programs that our managers and stuff would go to at Fazoli's. They weren't called Fazoli's U or anything, but they would go and like learn different things.
What I find fascinating about like fast food restaurants is like the history of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that's interesting, that people came from nothing. So like Dave Thomas, you know who that is?
No.
Dave Thomas was the guy that started Wendy's, okay? And Dave Thomas was a very successful KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise owner, I believe Ohio. And he had he was very successful. He had multiple restaurants, and he just gave it all up. Just said, I'm going to start my own restaurant. So he opened Wendy's. And the guy was like dyslexic. I mean, he was it's like a real like American success story. Like, I mean, he was successful before Wendy's because he had all these KFC franchises. But, he became like this sort of like inspirational guy that, had trouble reading, was dyslexic, and then opened Wendy's, and now Wendy's is everywhere.
I like Wendy's.
That's why they have that Dave's Special or whatever that one burger.
Oh, really?
Is. Yeah, it's
They're
named
like
after,
signature burger.
Yeah, it's named after Dave Thomas, the owner. And so that and like of course everybody knows the McDonald's stories with the brothers.
Yeah,
and
they got
Ray
screwed over.
Kroc ripped them off, and everybody knows about Harlan Sanders, the Colonel. Who was like, I guess, kind of a wild guy down there in Kentucky. There was some story about him shooting at somebody at one point. And
I haven't heard any of that.
It's interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff. I think people like don't think about the history of those kind of places.
Yeah.
Like Taco Bell. I just found this out recently. Do you know why it's called Taco Bell?
Wasn't it with something to do with the guy's name?
Yeah, his last name was Bell.
I think you told me that.
Yeah, his last name was Bell, so it's just like Taco Bell, and like Domino's, the Domino's pizza franchise. These guys started out really small, and now it's like this massive conglomerate. And I think people don't think about the history of those places. It's almost like, oh, well, they've always been here. McDonald's has always been here. Burger King's always been here. Wendy's has always been here. People don't think that there was actually some guy at some point that had no money, that was starting out poor, trying to do something new. Like, okay, we're going to take Mexican food, we're going to really Americanize it and really make it cheap, but we're going to, because no one, like, how many people knew what tacos were at some point?
Yeah.
Now it's so common that pizza was not a common thing. Even though it's Americanized, it's not like authentic Italian.
Yeah.
People don't really think about, they came from, those places started out small. Somebody just had a dream to open up some kind of place, and it became this huge phenomenon.
They become empires.
Yeah, and you hope that the like the McDonald's brothers got ripped off by Ray Kroc, but you hope that those guys don't get ripped off, and so, unfortunately, some of them do.
Yeah,
but
one thing too about places opening up around here is this area is like cursed or something. Like a lot of places that open up around here just will close down within the first year or two.
Well, that's not only restaurants, that's bookstores and I mean, we had you probably don't know this, we had a Baskin Robbins here at one point.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we had a Baskin Robbins.
Well, I remember we used to have a Starbucks. It's where that
an actual freestanding. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we have one in the hospital.
One in the hospital. There's one at the university. Food thing too. But Vincennes, Indiana, which is the oldest city in Indiana, is apparently cursed. The whole city was built on an Indian burial ground. I don't know if that's true, but
no, like,
it is cursed. I mean, it's
like nothing. It's very hard to succeed in the restaurant business around here. That's one of I would say the main reason I would never consider culinary school is because
you'd have to move.
I'd have to move somewhere way different.
Maybe that'd be okay. Who knows?
I don't like change. So.
Well, that's obvious. You don't like to leave your apartment.
Well, yeah, but just so many places around here.
He's still wearing shoes he wore in 6th grade, everybody. So that'll take some.
It's weird because when it first opens, like everybody's going there,
right?
And they like it and everything, and then it just slows down and turns into a ghost town. Like you got to think. Remember when Steak and Shake opened?
People went nuts.
Yeah, and it's
still fairly busy, I think. I don't know. I've
heard a lot of people say like it's
went downhill.
Yeah,
that's typical of the area. It goes downhill, goes downhill, goes downhill. Everybody, that's real typical.
Yeah, and Steak and Shake is the only place in town that I will not eat anymore.
Really?
Because it is the one place in town that has consistently gotten me sick.
And you found a rat in your...
There was a rat in my large-size Coke.
Oh, my God.
No. But, no, it's the one place that after I eat, like, I'd say 70% of the time I get sick.
Is it so greasy that it just... You think
that's
it?
No, because, like, the burger I got at Culver's, it was really greasy.
And you didn't get sick?
No, it's not the grease. I don't know what and the food tastes good.
Right.
Like it's good. The milkshakes and stuff are good, but I just always get sick.
You're not really sure what it is.
No, I think they're probably just throwing the hamburger patties on the ground and stepping on them, and then that's how they get them so thin. They throw them on the ground and step on them. They
stomp on them, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope not.
You never know.
You never know. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it is the town, but yeah, a lot of restaurants open, a lot of them close, or they open and they stay open, but the quality goes down. And I think probably the one restaurant chain that is very consistent is McDonald's, and you can hate it if you want. You say, well, I don't like McDonald's, I don't like their food or whatever, but I think I think it's consistent.
Yeah.
Like, I think that they just, because it's such a massive corporation, that they don't want their name to be, so it's like, it's consistent, it's like really.
For the most part. Like, the food is consistent, but how it's put together is less consistent. That depends on who's working and who's cooking in the kitchen. Like, you'll get, like, a burger or something with toppings, and it literally looks like they threw the toppings on from 50 yards away.
Right, and maybe
just
they
Hail Married it into the box.
Maybe there's that's like a game they play when they're slow, like who can throw the pickles across the room and make it actually land on the burger. You get 2 points if it lands on the sandwich, half a point if it's on the side of the sandwich, and then of course if it's not on the sandwich, you lose.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And that's what it feels like sometimes when you go there. Is like, who put this together? Like,
right.
This is not... Like, I know you're not getting paid what you deserve, but come on.
Now they're getting paid more, though.
Yeah,
remember that.
That's true. That's true.
The pay went way up.
And that's good, because
maybe they'll try harder. I don't know.
If you're working full-time hours with minimum wage, you cannot survive.
Right.
Like it is so low that
But if it's a
mocking.
kid that's in high school and he's living
Yeah.
at home for the next 3 or 4 years, then he's just probably stashing his money or going out and buying Red Man chewing tobacco.
Yeah, but still,
or whatever.
Like, even though they're younger, like they're still working. They're still paying taxes.
Right.
Like my sister, she works at Walmart and she makes nearly what we make. And
you shouldn't tell anybody that. That's
well,
you just now told the entire planet that. Now,
well, we're hospital employees. We get paid like a lot of the other hospital employees in.
You work at a
Southern
hospital?
Indiana. Yeah,
I don't reveal where I work, so I mean,
people know we work at a hospital.
Okay, they don't know where I work.
We've established.
Well, they don't know where I work.
You're whatever.
I'm there.
We've established this in a previous episode.
I don't think we have.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's act like amnesia. I don't remember this.
Okay. Anyway, it's good that they're making more money. Like whenever I was her age working, I was making like $8 an hour.
Right.
And I don't know of anywhere that starts out like that anymore. So it's good that
I mean, you might get some little mom and pop shop where you're making $8 an hour. Who knows? You know, some little Bill and Millie's Candle Works Incorporated, you know, you just come in and you clean the wax off the boilers and
that sounds like hard work.
And you get $8 an hour. I don't know. I'm just saying it's not,
I'm sure there's some places that pay like that.
The bare minimum.
Yeah.
But the thing with McDonald's is right now with the economy and people aren't wanting to work and a lot of people are scared to work and don't want to go out in public or they'll get sick or whatever it is. So McDonald's is going, we're going to bump it up.
And the thing is,
and they're paying people weekly.
They can afford it.
They're paying people weekly. They're paying people, if I remember right, some of these McDonald's, I think it's McDonald's, you go in and you get that day's pay that day.
That's cool.
They're just because they're that desperate to keep people. I mean, when you go through a fast food restaurant and they're going, drive-thru is the only thing open. Dining room's not open because we don't have enough employees.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it used to be that would be all the high school kids. You know, they were just kind of running those restaurants. And now it's like you can't get anybody, so they're bumping the pay way up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think a lot of people have kind of stood up too. Like they've realized like it's not worth working these jobs for crap pay. So people are standing up and being like, no, we're not going to do this. And that's good because the minimum wage hasn't gone up in a long time, but the cost of living and the cost of everything else has gone way up.
Right.
So it's like the pay has stayed the same, but everything has got so much more expensive.
Right.
And people can't live like that. Like it's impossible unless you have a lot of help from the government. You can't do it.
Or
so it's good that they're
win the
making
lottery
more.
or something.
Yeah,
maybe win
that'd
the
be nice.
lotto win, and then everybody's happy.
Yeah, buy your own McDonald's.
I don't think I would. I don't think that'd be the last thing I'd do is buy a McDonald's.
The people that own the McDonald's
locally,
like they own multiple.
Right.
They're loaded.
Yeah.
Like they have a mansion.
Well, they're very successful franchise owners.
Like they are.
I mean, that's what they're doing.
Really.
And you know those people?
I know of them. I know people that know them. I don't know very many people.
You know people who know those people.
I know someone who knows them.
And they have bodyguards, and you can't get near them.
No. But anyways, so let's kind of transition to, we've talked about fast food and kind of some restaurants. Let's talk more about cooking. I know I'm a bigger cook than you, but I know you can cook.
Well, I can cook, but it's not like I don't try it. It's not my thing.
Yeah, but you still cook. You're not one of those people that like, I can make a bowl of cereal and that's it.
There's very few people that are like that.
My grandpa's like that.
He can't make anything?
Not really. Like
I think that, and that's a different subject altogether, but I think that's like the old school mentality that guys, you know, because my father-in-law is that way. I don't know that he knows how to cook. I don't know that I don't know if he's ever been in a grocery store. And it's like, I got some woman's work there.
Yeah.
You know, that. But, yeah, I can cook a little. I mean, yeah, I cook, but it's not like gourmet stuff.
Yeah, or when guys cook, it's like, oh, I do the outside cooking. I grill, I smoke, I do all that stuff.
And that's sort of the...
I ain't going to bake a cake or anything like that.
Some of the best cooks in the world are men, though.
That's true.
I mean, and, you know, see, that's another thing about like America and other countries. I think in Europe, a lot of the cooks, a lot of the chefs are guys.
Well, it's like that here too.
Well, it is, but and then
a lot of the home cooks though are women.
That's it. It changes. It's like the home. It's. But I don't know that that's still the same. I think that's an older generational thing where guys can't cook, guys don't cook, guys don't do laundry.
Yeah, that's definitely an older generation thing.
But yeah,
like I said, my grandpa can't cook.
At all.
My dad, he can cook.
Right.
My mom, she can cook.
Cooked
kinda.
under Wolfgang Puck, didn't he?
No. He's
second time that name's been brought up in a podcast.
Third time actually.
Wolfgang Puck?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm a fan. I don't know.
But no, my dad, he can cook. I would say, and my grandma, she's a really good cook. Like it's nothing like
homemade.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's nothing like fancy. Like
right.
But it's all like grandma cooking. You know what I mean?
Which is good.
Like chicken and noodles.
Which is good stuff, though.
Yeah, it's
homemade
good. It's
pies,
nostalgic.
homemade stuff, and yeah. I think people just, that whole thing with like cooking, it's weird because I think there's a section of the population that loves to cook and loves to like experiment with stuff, and they watch cooking shows and they read about it and they have all these cookbooks. And then there's other people who don't because they don't have time because of their career or whatever. And so they sort of reminisce back to grandma or mom. It's like, well, your mom was a stay-home mom, and you're working in a office somewhere. You don't have time to cook. So I think it just varies. Everybody's different. Everybody's just,
Yeah, like if I was a stay-at-home parent, I'd be cooking like 3 meals a day. Like
probably get sick of it.
No, I love cooking.
Well, I know you do, but doesn't everybody get sick at some point and goes, I don't know what to make tonight. I don't know what to make.
No, because I watch stuff all the time. Like before you came over to the studio today, I was watching a video on a shrimp etouffee.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was thinking,
Cajun cooking.
I could make that. That looks really good.
Have you ever made any Polish dishes?
I made pierogies one time.
Pierogies? Yeah. I've had boxed pierogies.
See, I made them completely homemade, and I made it for me and my girlfriend at the time. And after I was done making them and everything, they were very good.
Yeah.
But so much work went into it. I was like, this is not something that you make for two
They're not
people.
necessarily health food either, are they?
No, it's carbs on carbs on carbs.
Right.
But
old European.
It was very good, but it's just one of those dishes that you don't make for just two people.
Right.
You make it and bring it to like a Christmas party or something like that. So yeah. What would you say one of your favorite things to cook is? Like, what's one of your things that, like,
It's not very many. There's not very many.
Like, if there's a dish getting made at your house, you're like, oh, that Darren does that.
Like I'm making it, probably the chicken noodles.
Chicken noodles? Yeah.
Right.
I think you've told me that before.
Right. I don't make the noodles homemade, but everything else is, everything else is done. It's.
Are you referring to like a chicken noodle soup or like chicken and noodles, like almost like dumplings? Like
I use noodles. I mean,
there's different kinds.
Well, it's just the recipe I got was just called chicken noodles.
But it's not a soup.
Well, there's a lot of broth.
So it's not like the sloppy like chicken and dumplings, like that thicker consistency.
No, it's the thinners. It's basically your chicken, your celery, your onions, your carrots.
So chicken noodle soup.
Yeah, but it's not called that. I mean, what I did was I knew I wanted to make it, so what I did was I got online and I typed in chicken noodles, and they all said, none of them said soup, but they all said chicken noodles. Like literally, they all said chicken noodles. I mean, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's
it
strange. Is, but it's a thin broth. It's got like I don't know how much bouillon you put in it, but it's. And it turns out it's like the one thing I've made that turns out every single time. Like every single time, I think I've got 2 recipes for it because one makes a lot more than the other. Mm-hmm. I've used both recipes; they're both real similar. One uses less. One uses liquid broth, and one uses water with bouillon. Mm-hmm. But they both it's the one thing I've made that's never been bad. It's like it turns out every time everybody likes it.
Yeah,
and it has good flavor, and I don't know. It's the one thing. I make that. I make goulash.
My mom used to make goulash.
Good Hungarian dish. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's not anywhere near what real goulash is in Hungary, but
Well, goulash is one of those things that every family has their own recipe for.
Right.
Like, there's not a standard, this is how you make
Right.
it.
yeah. So I make goulash. I make chicken noodles. I make chili. I'm always trying to figure out the best chili conglomerate to make a recipe, and then I make stir fry
Mm-hmm.
and I don't grill much, but I do grill a little bit in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's usually like chicken or something.
Yeah.
We just don't eat a lot of steaks.
Yeah.
We grill steaks probably. There's people that grill steaks like every two times a week.
Yeah.
Ribeye.
Mm-hmm.
These and we grill steaks probably 3 times a year. So
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I'll use steak, not often, but enough.
Mhm.
But it's usually not like a thick cut steak. It's not a New York strip
Right.
or ribeye. Like, I'll get like thin, like round steak, and I'll put it in stir fries or
Mhm.
a quesadilla. Or,
So you're not
or
like you're not like a fan
tacos.
of like porterhouse or
No, I love those steaks,
Yeah.
but they're expensive.
they're expensive. And,
Um, and I love cooking those.
Yeah.
But it's not like I can make something, I would say, almost as good with a way less expensive cut of meat.
Right.
And a lot of people don't do that at home. Like, when they think steak, they're like, oh, just a
Grilled.
yeah, not like
It's
steak
weird because
stir-fry.
growing up, my mom would put them in the broiler. Like I remember, I don't know when my stepdad started grilling a lot, but it seemed like when I was really little, she would put them on a pan and broil it. Not, and that's how I remember steak, because everybody associates steak with grilling. Everybody's going to grill out. But when I was a kid, it's like she would put them in the broiler.
Mhm.
So we would have, T-bones, and they were good.
yeah,
And it wasn't until, I don't know, my stepdad always kind of grilled, and he had a smoker and stuff, and he did all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But it seemed like the broiled steaks were the thing.
Mhm.
Meatloaf's another thing that people,
yeah.
everybody has their own recipe, what they put in it. Some
Mhm.
people put, whatever. And they,
A lot of people don't like meatloaf too.
I like meatloaf.
I do too. It's got to be a good meatloaf though. Like, you can make a bad meatloaf.
Yeah, I make a meatloaf you would probably vomit over and say it was
I doubt
horrible. But
it. I'm not a picky eater.
The thing
I just
about-
enjoy good food.
well, the thing about you're a foodie. The thing about it is, the one thing I have learned is put the meatloaf on a rack, because otherwise typically, unless depending on what kind of meat you get, so many people put their meatloaf in a Pyrex dish and it swims in 2 inches of oil, 2 inches of fat,
Yeah.
and it's just so greasy. So I've always put them on a little, like a rack above, or like a drip, like a rack,
Yeah, I
so
know
it
what you're
drips
talking
in.
about. A
So
cooling
so
rack.
so it's not setting in an inch of
Mhm.
lard.
Yeah.
But I found a recipe for meatloaf that actually is instead of what do you use? People use breadcrumbs a lot, or crackers, or what is it?
Either or. I'd say breadcrumbs.
So I found a recipe that calls for a bag of stovetop stuffing,
Huh.
and you put that in instead of your bread, and mix it in, and it sort of has a little bit of the flavor of stovetop stuffing. So it's that's the one I make.
Thanksgiving meatloaf.
That's the one I make.
A lot of people too, they don't put any pork in their meatloaf.
Well, we don't. I never have. It's always been beef strictly.
Yeah.
My
and-
mom's. I don't know anybody that does that.
Exactly. But
Who the hell puts pork in their meatloaf?
professionals.
Well, okay. Well, I'm not a professional.
but
I don't get paid to cook this meatloaf. I'm not a professional.
You mix pork and ground beef, and it makes it it's way harder to make it dry if you do that.
Right.
I've made a ground turkey meatloaf before, and that
How was
it was pretty good. I was surprised because you'd think just ground turkey, like, this is going to be horrible. But I wanted to try and like make a healthier version of it.
right. Well, speaking of like Thanksgiving, and you said Thanksgiving meatloaf, why is it that no one has like the Thanksgiving feast more than once a year?
That is a excellent question.
So do you have an answer for it?
No, because I would think
Because it's so good.
it is. It's wonderful. But the reason I think a lot of people don't have it as often, the prep time, and the cost, and the availability of those style of turkeys.
Well,
but you can buy turkey year round. It
round.
might not just be the same. Like, it might not be a 15-pound
Well,
bird.
you don't need a bit. If it's just like
Exactly.
it's just your family, just buy a small turkey.
Like there's these turkey breasts at Walmart.
Right. It's
that
just
are
the breast
frozen,
only.
and you can cook those and cook them with gravy, and those are like
Right.
surprisingly really, really good. It tastes nothing like a Thanksgiving
I
turkey.
think it's.
But it's still turkey, and it's
I don't
very
know if
good.
it's like people just have this like it's the big tradition of once a year and
or twice a year if you do that same thing at Christmas,
right
or
but,
Easter.
right. But I don't know if it's. Of course, when I was a kid growing up, Easter was always
Boiled eggs.
no. Easter's always ham,
Yeah,
and which is funny. And we're getting off the subject here, which is funny because Easter is
Jewish.
about Jesus, and he was Jewish.
Yeah.
So we're eating
Not
ham.
kosher.
We're eating pork.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
You ever made a turducken?
No, but I know what it is. But no, seriously, as good as Thanksgiving is, it's like you'd think people would just say, okay, we're going to buy a small turkey. Somebody's going to, you make noodles, potatoes, green beans, rolls. There it is.
Yeah.
And no one seems to do that.
Well, see, when it
Idiots.
might have been either I was sick or I had COVID. It was during Thanksgiving.
So either way, you were sick.
Yes.
No matter what sickness it was.
So I just got leftovers. Like they gave me a thing of leftovers. And a couple weeks had passed, and I was thinking like, I missed out on Thanksgiving. Like I got just leftovers. Like I didn't get to eat it like when it was all ready and stuff.
You went and made it, didn't you?
And I bought everything to make myself my own.
How'd that
personal.
go over?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I
mean, I get the whole, the special, it's like everybody sort of, it's Thanksgiving. It's like, it's that time of year. And I get the sort of the ceremony and the tradition of it, but it's like, just make it to me, it's kind of like, and this is we're going off topic. We seem to go off topic a lot, and you'll hear us say that.
It's always been we've talked about food the whole time.
Well, but I know we always end up going, I don't know how many episodes where we go, we're off topic here. That's sort of it'll be a catchphrase. It'll be a shirt that'll say, we're off topic here, third floor theatrics. Like Christmas. Like people, like if they can't get together at Christmas, they almost have a meltdown. They almost have a coronary or go into deep depression. It's like, you can see those people
anytime you want.
Yeah, it's like, okay, why don't we have sort of a Christmas in April? Why don't we have a Christmas in June? Everybody gets together. You don't have to have
Christmas
presents.
in July. You can all watch the Hallmark Channel.
Now we're back on that.
Yeah,
but instead of, you don't have to have presents, but just get together. Somebody make food. Is a family get together. It's like people put so much emphasis on. Well, I couldn't see my uncle at Christmas. I'm so upset. Just go see your uncle next month.
Yeah.
But it's weird how we get into these traditions and we're so stuck on them and we can't vary in it all.
See, I think my family's pretty good about that because we'll all get together for like birthdays and like sometimes we'll just get together just to get together and we'll all have like a big meal and everything.
Anyway, it's always fun. It is fun to. If you can make it work, and everybody has crazy schedules with school and college and jobs, and some people live out of state.
Yeah. And then most of the time people are off on those days too.
Well, I'm not referring to the holidays, but it is good when you sort of have or it could be friends or even, it wouldn't necessarily have to be family, but when you sort of have food and sort of everybody sort of, that's sort of the catalyst that brings everybody get together. It's like, oh, we're going to have food where everybody bring a dish, or we're going to order pizzas or, and everybody just sits around and eats and talks. And so it is a good thing. I mean, it's fun if you can make it work and with everybody's, like I say, their crazy schedules and,
See, I have family that lives in Iowa and they'll usually come down once or twice a year. And every single time they come down, they always get a Bob's Pizza.
Right. That's kind of,
they miss it so
much. That's a local thing here in southern Indiana for people who don't know what that is. That's like the big deal with, in this area, Bob's. Everybody goes crazy over Bob's.
Yeah, it is good. It's very untraditional pizza, though.
Right.
But
see, that was something.
An Italian in there, they'd be like, "Look at this. This thing's floppy.
Crap. It's flop.
But it is still good.
It is, and see, I don't know if we've talked about that on past episodes, but that started in like 1955 or 4 or something. It's early mid 50s when Bill Bob started that. There probably no one around here knew what pizza was because it was that would have been old school, meat and potatoes and just standard, So he made something that's still going on all these years later that still people just go crazy over. Bob's Pizza. They just go nuts over it.
And see, they've opened up so many restaurants. It seems like every person in that family tree has their own restaurant now.
Yeah, every like cousin or uncle or nephew or sister or whatever has opened some sort of in these surrounding towns.
And they're all a little bit different.
Yeah, they're not quite the same as Bill Bobe's is like the original. I mean, that's the one that's sort of the gold standard, I think, of those. Yeah. But his brother Byron is the one that split off from that and opened his own on Main Street, like 20 years after. Like it was like in the 70s, he split off and opened up Byron Bobe's, and that's in this little town of Vincennes. That I don't live here now, but I grew up here. That's sort of the debate: which one's better? Which one's better? And some people go 6th Street only. Some people go Main Street only.
I'd say 6th Street is definitely more popular.
I would say so.
But
there's people. Main Street has its fans, though.
Yeah. The only time that me or my family has went to Main Street Bob's is when we could not get through to 6th Street Bob's because they were too busy.
See, growing up, my stepdad and my mom would always, for years, it was Main Street. We get in a Bob's, Main Street, Main Street, Main Street. And at some point, they switched to 6th Street. I don't know what caused them to switch, but they would do Main Street for years. It was the place they went, and then they switched to 6th, and then they kind of got dedicated to 6th Street, the 6th Street location. For those of you who live in another state who might be listening to this, you have no idea what we're talking about.
It's just it's pizza. It's floppy pizza.
It's floppy Americanized pizza.
But everybody loves it.
But people love it. They go nuts over it here.
I think the sauce is like on the sweeter side, which I like. Some people that I know are like no sweetness in my food. Unless it's a dessert, no sweetness at all. But like I don't mind some sweetness in my food. The not the ingredients, the toppings. I'd say the toppings are a lot better quality than like your Papa John's, your Domino's, and stuff like that. They just
you would think. I don't know.
At least they're meats.
Yeah,
they're meats for sure. Vegetables is kind of hard to tell a difference.
They've been very successful though. I know the one location was making like $1 million a year.
Yeah, and my thing with it is that ticks me off is
here we go.
They make so much money. They have so much business. But they don't expand.
You've talked about this, and you know why.
Their parking lot sucks. They're trying to get through to them is horrible.
Right.
Like, what was me? That was me and you one time.
I was
trying to order a pizza.
Right, to take home.
We had both of our cell phones going on hold for about an hour in total. Right. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, hire some more people.
What did I finally do? Just drive over there and order it?
Yeah. And it took like no time.
Yeah.
You thought like they had the phones unplugged or something. It was that bad.
Well, I can't speak to that kind of stuff as far as what they do with phones and all that, but the reason they don't move the locations because that's where it's always been, and it's tradition.
Well, when you expand and you get that popular, sometimes you have to.
Well, what they should have done is bought out some real estate on the block.
Yeah.
And just built a bigger building right on the same location.
Yeah, added on to it.
And made it, and that's what but see, they don't have to. It's like one of those.
Because they're doing fine with the way they're doing things,
but
which, I mean, it sucks. Like, a lot of people complain about the stuff that I was talking about. Like, the parking lot's horrible.
Right, but if you go to, like, there's some little place, like, in Manhattan that's stuck in the middle of Manhattan.
Well, there's a big difference, though. That's Manhattan real estate.
But what I'm saying is that place has been there, and the floor's been walked on for 60 years. They don't care. That's what it is, and that's where they're at, and no one wants to move because that's the original location. That's where it all happened. So they don't switch. They don't move. Yeah, I understand the real estate in New York City is a little bit higher than Mid-Indiana. Just a little bit, just slightly. A little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's the whole tradition thing. We got to go there. And it's like, and some people, if they open up and then there's not that there's a lot of charm, I don't think, about that building.
No, there's not.
But
if there's a line, you're outside.
Right.
You can't wait in there.
It's not like it's like old hardwood, it's not like it's no, it's not. It's kind of 1970s looking or something, or at least it was. But I think if you built a brand new building, it would either go one or two ways. People would either fall in love with it or they would have some problem. They'd say, well, something's off. The ovens are different. The ovens are different.
They could move the ovens.
Well, they would have to. You'd have to.
My thing is, if let's say they rented out a building, moved their stuff over there, or they tore down that building and built a way bigger building and bought some buildings that were next to it and turned those into parking lots or whatever.
That's what they should have done.
Yes. I think they would get a lot more business because I know a lot of people that have tried calling and they're like, oh, I can't get through. Like that's enough.
They just give up. Yeah. Yeah.
Or they go and they see how busy it is. Oh, the line's out to the door because they can't seat enough people.
Right.
Or feed enough people because everything is so small that they don't go.
Right.
Because the wait time for Bob's is notorious,
Right.
especially on...
I wish I had a business that was that successful.
Yeah.
That it's like no matter what happened, no matter how busy they were, no matter what day of the week it was, no matter what the weather was like, no matter what the season was, it was just they were just booming every day.
And like Bob's is crazy, like especially like during sports seasons and like football and stuff, like on Sundays and all that. It's insane. Unless you are willing to wait a very long time, you are not eating Bob's that night.
Right. Well, it's so much so that people go crazy over it that I knew I worked with a guy whose brother has lived in LA for probably 30 years, right? Mm-hmm. Or more. And he's actually a Grammy award-winning album record producer, and music producer. And so he's lived out in LA for, I don't know, 25, 30 years, maybe over 30 years. I don't know, a long time. Probably over 30 years now. And he would still get Bob's pizzas shipped to LA, like partially cooked or frozen or whatever, and they would ship them to LA so he could eat them at home.
Well,
that's insane.
I know Bob's does their like fundraiser stuff, where you can buy like the partially cooked frozen pizzas and you throw them in your oven, and those are pretty similar to like
restaurant.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah,
but you got to think, like, imagine if they did that and got a thing with our local Walmart
and sold them frozen.
Do you know how much money they would make?
Oh yeah,
if they just got.
Well, if
they got a separate location,
they would have to get a factory location to actually make those.
And could you imagine?
It would just blow. It'd blow up.
Yeah, it'd be insane.
It would just blow up. Maybe someday that'll happen.
Maybe we need to go and talk to whoever's running that and be like, listen, let's work something out.
Well, there's some other pizzerias in like bigger cities like St. Louis and stuff that do that. They sell their pizzas frozen, and you can find them in like select supermarkets and make them at home. So,
but the thing is, though, in a place like St. Louis, it's more watered down because you have so many options.
Oh yeah.
Around here, it's Bob's. Like Bob's is the well-known,
and St. Louis
well-established.
St. Louis. I don't know if you're aware of this. There's a part of St. Louis called the Hill, which is like Little Italy or something, and there's like really old school, authentic authentic Italian restaurants there, and it's so And St. Louis is a big city too, but
around here that would kill. Like they would make so much money.
Oh yeah, if you could go to Walmart or any store and take Bob's home, and of course it would not be the same, but
it'd be close.
If you could make it close, if you keep the quality and the flavor close,
just do what they've been doing with the fundraisers. Right. Like those I've made them just in a regular oven on a regular pizza,
and they're pretty good,
and they are very similar.
Right. Well, there you go. We're helping another business out. We're not helping ourselves out as usual.
Well, that's what we're gonna do after this show ends. We're gonna
contact the Bob's people.
Yeah, call Bob's. This might be the last podcast. We might have we
may strike it rich with Bob's frozen products.
Yeah, cut into that profit that they have.
Right.
But no, I think we're going to be wrapping up here soon. One thing I want to end on is if you don't cook, like that's just something that you don't do, give it a try. Like find something that you think looks really good and follow the directions and make it. And just keep doing that. And that's what I did. And I would just watch videos and like just taught myself how to do it. And I'm really glad I did. Like I like to be able to see something online or on TV or whatever and be like, that looks good. I'm going to make that for dinner one night.
Right.
Because I used to be in a place that I would see food and I'd be like, oh, like that looks good. I'd have to go somewhere to eat that, but now it's like I can make that.
And if you don't have time, or you just absolutely don't have time, try to find a good mom and pop locally owned restaurant that you can get into that's not a chain. There's a couple in Evansville, obviously Rafi's place, and Rafi's retired now, but he did Middle Eastern food. It was amazing. And then there's La Caprana, the Mexican place.
You took me there, and I want to say something about that because you had been going there for a long time, and you took us, and I was only used to either Mexican food that I made at home or the La Fiesta, the El Corral,
Americanized.
the Americanized Mexican
Right.
food here in town.
Mm-hmm.
And that La Camprana is like authentic Mexican.
Right.
And it is completely different. Like
Right.
it is like a complete 180 from Americanized to Mexican
Right.
food. And it is very, very good.
Yeah, those guys are good guys, and we got to know them, me and my brother, and we go there quite a bit, and they're super good guys, and their food is amazing, and they've done really well, and I just I hope they'll keep getting bigger and better. You know, they have a food truck now, or a food wagon, and so yeah, it's just fine. If you don't have time to cook, try to find a locally owned place that's not a chain, it's not a franchise, and just frequent it and get to know the people and try their food. Maybe you'll find something really unique, you know.
Or when you are out in like another town, like see if you can find something authentic.
Right.
Something that,
which is
like
hard,
I said,
but
like
you
with the
can do
Mexican
it.
thing. Like when we went on vacation, we would try and find, like we went to like an authentic Italian restaurant, and it was good.
Right.
Like they had like actual Italian dishes on the menu other than like Americanized Italian. And it was really good. But yeah, like just try and find something that is good quality, and you don't have to go there all the time, because most of the time it is a little bit more expensive than what most people are used to.
Right.
But it's worth it, and you know, it's supporting a local business that is doing something good.
Right. And those guys are competing with all the big chains and the big franchises, which have millions of dollars, you know, to back them up. And these guys are, you know, these guys don't. So support the local guys and the small guys if you can, and support them.
And it just doesn't have to be with restaurants too. One thing I've noticed that makes a huge difference is if you have a local meat shop or a butcher, go there every now and then and buy some of your meat from there. Like if you're going to make steaks or you're going to make chicken or whatever, go there and get meat from them, because it really is a way better quality if you're only buying your meat and stuff from Walmart.
If you have
they have a way bigger selection most of the time,
and
too.
it's fresher, and it's
and you can get it how you want it.
Right.
Like you don't have to get, if say you want New York strips and you want them a little bit thicker than how Walmart cuts them or Walmart gets shipped to them.
Right.
You can go and tell that butcher, like, hey, I want a 1-inch thick New York strip, and they'll go in the back and cut it for you, and it makes a huge difference.
And it is the same thing with also like farmers markets and local produce markets and people who are growing fruits and vegetables locally. If you can support those people and help them out, because a lot of times that's their income, or that's part of their income. If there's a local creamery that's making cheese, or I was going to say cheesery, that's not a real word, but I want to use it anyway. You know, if someone is making cheese or making whatever, and that's, you know, support them and go there and try their food, and it may be 10 times better than the stuff you're getting at the big stores and the big restaurants.
And we have a local winery too.
There's a lot of little local wineries around the area.
And I know some of them sell their stuff at Walmart, so it's like back again with the Bob's thing. Bob's could be doing that. You could pair your Bob's pizza with a local wine.
You could. Who knows?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all
right.
I have to say. Like I always say, thanks for sticking around this long if you did, and new episodes coming out every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tell your friends, like it, subscribe, please and thank you, and we'll see you guys later.
See you guys down the road.